Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden and we're going to head up towards Gothenburg once again, and we are revisiting one of my favourite Swedish craft breweries. Pretty much any style that these guys try, it turns out very well, but we're going to go to the dark end of the spectrum for this one. So we're going to head to Bryggeri once again, and we're having a taste of an Imperial Stout from the Grand series. If memory serves me correctly, this is the first beer that I'm reviewing for you from the Grand Imperial Stout series that they do. So this one is called the Choco chip, and it's an Imperial Stout coming in at 10% ABV. So this one, I can't remember if this was released in January, on the 1st of January, or whether it was released on the 1st of December, but it was part of one of the local and småsekt assortments through Systembolaget here in Sweden. So really curious to see how this one turns out. I've had some great Imperial Stouts from Bryggeri before, some very good IPAs and quads and barley wines and things like that as well. This is a brewery who are very good all round, and if you haven't tried Swedish craft beer, then Bryggeri are one of the ones that you really have to try something from. A top brewery in my opinion, so keep that in mind. But yeah, looking forward to trying this one, and as always I hope that you guys enjoy my take on it. So as usual, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Bryggeri before. There must be about 20 or so of them now, and I will obviously be adding more in the near future. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that are reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Bryggeri then, on to my brewery notes. So as I mentioned to you before, Bryggeri are based near Gothenburg, Landvetter to be precise, just out to the east of the city, very close to the airport. And this brewery was established originally back in 2005 in Mölndal, which you'll find down to the south of Gothenburg, by Mikael Engström Dugge. So a few years previously, Mikael had apparently met an Englishman who was selling second-hand breweries, and this really got Mikael thinking about brewing his own beer. And he studied the Swedish alcohol laws, visited other breweries around the place, and started buying up equipment to put together his own brewery. And this culminated with the opening of the first brewery in Mölndal back in 2005. By 2009 though, they'd been scaling up and they'd outgrown their original brewery, and they moved to Landvetter, close to the airport, in 2010. The older brewery had a capacity of around 1,500 hectolitres of beer per year, but the new brewery started off with 8,000 hectolitres of beer per year, and this has been more than doubled in recent years. Over the years, this brewery have become well known for their fruit beers and their sours, but more recently they've been looking at Imperial Stouts and IPAs and things like that as well, and they've done very well since they've moved into doing those styles as well. They've also got quite an extensive barrel aging program as well. I reviewed one of the quadruples from that, and I believe also a barley wine. It was Airports and Windmills it was called, if I remember correctly, which was a beautiful beer. And they're also one of the co-owners of the Two Brewers beer bars in Gothenburg as well. At the moment these guys have produced somewhere in the region of 300 different beers, or 250, something like that. So they are a very prolific brewery. That's one of the only downsides to this brewery, of course, is that the some of the beers you'll try are really top class, but you'll never see them again. They tend to only brew certain things once. That said, they do have a core range, and there's always new releases coming through Systembolaget as well, so they are fairly easy to get a hold of. And like I say, I would recommend that you try some of the beers from these guys. Probably my favourite one so far was the Crush Double IPA. I mean, that was a really nice beer. The Airports and Windmills was awesome. That was that a Tonka Bean barley wine or a Tonka Bean quadrupel, something like that. That was a collaboration with Brouwerij de Molen from the Netherlands. I mean, some of the beers you'll get from Bryggeri are just really top class, and it's nice to go back and try one of these Imperial Stouts again. And Mikael Engström Dugge is also the father of Ida at Electric Nurse Brewery as well, and that's why a number of the Electric Nurse beers can be found both in the Brewers beer bars, and they're also brewed at Bryggeri as well. So that's another interesting point to mention about this brewery, and I didn't know that until I actually visited Brewer's Beer Bar in Gothenburg as well. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about Dugus Bryggeri for the moment. As I say, one of the best known Swedish craft breweries and one of the best all-round breweries in Sweden in my opinion, so check them out if you get the chance. If you want to learn more about this brewery, you can check out the brewery website, follow them on Facebook and Instagram. The 2 Brewers Beer Bars are also on there as well that you can check out. And you can also check out the Rate Beer and Untappd pages to see all the different beers that these guys have done. And there's also a fairly extensive section on that on the website as well, so that is also worth checking out. Some of my favourite beers I've had from these guys were the coffee Imperial Stouts. These guys in my mind are one of the best coffee stout producers in the world. They did some with Hunter and Son, and they also did some with a Swedish coffee maker as well, which was called Nyström and something, I forget the name of that one. But yeah, very good when it comes to coffee stouts. If you see something with Dugus and coffee stout, definitely buy it up. Very, very good. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. So as I mentioned to you, this one is an Imperial Stout coming in at 10% ABV, meant to taste like a chocolate chip cookie as the name kind of tells you, and this one is part of the fairly new Grand series of Imperial Stouts, and they say that it's basically them trying to create the perfect Imperial Stout. So it says on the side here, our Choco chip is part of a journey towards the perfect stout, towards utopia. Step by step, beer by beer, and on forever. A grand canvas coloured by baked goods for any cookie needs, dunk it. So yeah, kind of cool. Still a plain black bottle cap on this one. I wish they would put Dugus on the top. I think that would be a really nice little touch actually, but you know, who cares as long as the beer's good. And there you can see one of the other Dugus symbols just over on the side of the bottle there as well. So yeah, probably when it comes to the stouts, it's the Grand series, and when it comes to the IPAs, it's the Crush series. I think they've also got the Fresh series as well, which are slightly lower alcohol IPAs, like, you know, about 6%, whereas the Crush tend to be around the 8% mark, if I remember correctly. But yeah, 10% Imperial Stout. This one is supposed to taste like a chocolate chip cookie. So without further ado, let's get it out and we will get on with the tasting then. I'm really curious to see how this one's turned out. And I have to say, when I was away in Japan, that was something that I really did miss, was the old Scandinavian Imperial Stouts. You know, it's, in my opinion, the Imperial Stouts you'll get in Sweden, Denmark and Norway, they're pretty damn hard to beat actually. They've just, the mouthfeel and the flavours and everything like that, you know, you get some of the best Imperial Stouts in the world here. And I'll say straight away, when you open this beer up, it really comes across as very, you know, is very kind of sweet. You really get that kind of cookie note out of it. I suspect this one might have a little bit of flavour essence added to it actually, so we'll need to see about that. But yeah, as you can see and as you would expect from an Imperial Stout, this one's poured a lovely dark ebony rosewood colour. If I shine the light through that, it does have a little touch of a kind of chestnut Coca-Cola coloured edge to it. The head was a very kind of thin, slightly beige foamy layer. I mean, I guess it would have been darker, but you know, the head is pretty much non-existent on this one. At 10%, sometimes you'll get a head out of them, but usually when you've got higher alcohol beers like this, you know, you're going to struggle for the head to have much retention on it. But yeah, it looks pretty much as you would expect from an Imperial Stout. So let's take a closer look at that aroma then and just see how we get on. Oh yeah, straight away, this is, I'm pretty sure there's flavour essence in this one. And you know, that's an art in itself. I mean, Omnipollo, of course, are one of the breweries who really kind of kicked that off. They were brewing a number of their Imperial Stouts at Dugus Bryggeri, so I'm guessing there's been a bit of an exchange of knowledge there, but this one really smells like one of these Omnipollo Imperial Stouts. Lovely, you know, it's straight away, it's like cookie dough. It's really like that. To me, it doesn't smell like cooked cookie, if that makes sense. It really does smell more like the raw sort of cookie dough, which is nice. And I mean, in fairness, you could add some of that to the brew because that's got the sugars in it that the yeasts can convert into alcohol. Because normally with beer you extract, you get the sugars out of the starch and then they're converted into to alcohol. But if you put cookie dough in it, I'm guessing it could probably do the trick. But yeah, it's very, very sweet, really like raw cookie dough. Definitely some nice sweet kind of chocolatey notes to this one. And the chocolate that comes out of this, it's a good blend between a sort of milkier chocolate. There is almost a little bit of that vanilla kind of lactosey type thing to this beer as well. But you do get a little bit of the darker chocolate in there as well, although I would say that's more minimal than the more milky kind of chocolate. I really do want to say there's a bit of vanilla in here, but it's really leaning, you know, it's the coffee, the cookie notes really dominate the aroma here. And when it's called Choco Chip, to be honest, you wouldn't really expect anything else, would you? But a lovely big sweet smelling stout, this one. Some chocolate in there. There's maybe a little bit of a kind of caramelly brown sugar, but again, that's quite minimal. It's got a little bit of a kind of that biscuity element to it as well, so it's maybe it is maybe just kind of things from the cookie dough, right enough. But yeah, really, it really just smells like chocolate chip cookies. There's not much else you can say about the malt base and stuff in this one, the malt base and the adjuncts, I guess. On the hoppy side of things, maybe a little bit of earthiness and a little bit of grassiness, but really not much to report in the way of hoppy character with this one. I'm not sure what hops they would have, they would have used in this beer. I mean, could it just be a little bit of like Summit or Williamette or something like that? But yeah, a little tiny bit of earthiness in there, a little bit of grassiness, no real floral character or anything. And on the fruity side of things, it's got a little bit of a very slightly figgy note, you know, there's maybe wee hints of blackcurrants and blackberries in there, but mainly it's a sort of small candied strawberry or something like that. You know, the fruity esters that are coming out of this are very, very minimal and almost hard to detect just because of how prominent that sort of cookie dough and milk chocolatey kind of quality is in this beer. Like I say, there's a bit of vanilla in there too, and that plays a big role in my mind. So yeah, interesting aroma. This one really reminds me a lot of some of these sort of cakey imperial stouts that you'd get from Omnipollo normally, but it comes across as a very nice smelling beer, very, very inviting. I'm not sure if you could consider this one a pastry stout. This is probably quite similar to a lot of these dessert in a can things that are coming out from Amundsen up in Norway, or is it Cervisium? I forget who does them. But yeah, interesting smelling beer. This one reminds me a lot of the Omnipollo beers. So let me know in the comment section below if this one is actually a pastry stout. I would just call it a sweet stout, to be honest with you. But yeah, let's have a taste of this then and see how we get in. A beautiful aroma in this one. Let's taste of the Choco Chip, an Imperial Stout from the Grand Series at Bryggeri in Landvetter, just out to the east of Gothenburg here in Sweden. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål! Yeah. You know, I'm not surprised with this beer. I mean, this is lovely. It really is just a lovely, big, thick, sweet Imperial Stout. I really like how this goes together. This is definitely one of these sipping beers that you would enjoy over the course of an evening, and you know, I'm certainly going to do that after I finish this video, no doubt about that. Yeah, where to start with this one then? I mean, it's one of these beers where it's if you've taken a bit of time and smelt the aroma, it's not really doing anything overly surprising. It kind of has everything that you would expect it to have, but it's well crafted, and you wouldn't, as I say, you wouldn't expect anything less from Bryggeri. You know, if you've had experience with these guys, they're not going to put a bad beer out there, and this one, I think, is really pretty nice. Yeah, so where to start with this one then? In the middle of your palate, you can feel that lovely. You can feel a nice little bit of smoothness there. A little bit the pale malt, I think, is kind of shining through on this one, but you can really feel the big syrupy and sugary qualities blanket in the middle of your tongue there. I mean, to get a beer like this, you're going to have to boil it for what, about 4 hours or something like that. This will be a very, very long boil to get a stout like this, even with the flavour essences and stuff added in, which I'm guessing will be added just before the fermentation actually starts. But yeah, this is lovely. And I mean, it's a bit of an art in itself to get the proper base beer to match with whatever flavour essence you're going to put in it. Actually, it's some people that are more kind of purist minded, if you like, when it comes to brewing, don't necessarily like that style of brewing, but I have to say I do respect it, because you've got to get your base beer right. And I mean, you know, Dugas, again, they've got a reputation when it comes to imperial stouts, but yeah, the way that the brown sugars and stuff make the foundation of this beer is really nice. As I say, a little bit of pale malt there. There's maybe a few kind of smooth woody undertones to this one as well, but yeah, you've got that big syrupy, brown sugary and chocolate thing that blankets the middle of your palate. As you go further into the aftertaste with this one, that's when you start to get the kind of more biscuity notes coming out of this one, the cookie sort of flavours. They kind of sit there almost towards the edge of the palate, in the very centre of your tongue. You can pick up some of the more chocolatey elements. For me, that's where the sort of chocolate chippy type flavours come out, and again, that's quite well balanced between being a more milky chocolate, you know, a sort of 50-ish% cocoa, but you've also got a few elements of a higher percentage cocoa, maybe 80%, something like that. So that's really interesting how those flavours sort of interplay with each other. I'd also say there's a really nice, if you go to the centre of your palate and then move forward, you start to get some of the vanilla qualities out of this beer as well. I'm pretty sure there's not too much in the way of vanilla, but if you just go behind the fruity part of the beer, you will detect just a little bit of a nice vanilla note, and that's some of the woody flavours that I was talking about in this one. Really interplay with that a little bit. I mean, it might even be something else, but to me it comes across a little bit like vanilla, because I think usually when you bake cookies, if I remember right, you do put a little bit of vanilla essence in the dough, if you like. So not surprised that that flavour's in there. But yeah, as this beer in the centre of your palate, as it dries out, you start to get those almost caramelly, wafery type qualities that just, you know, they really taste like the cookie dough. So I would say the sort of chocolate chip cookie thing, to me, that comes out more in the aftertaste, and it's a sort of lingering flavour rather than being a sort of ever-present flavour in the beer, if that at all makes sense. But it's really, this is definitely one of these beers, pardon me, where it's all about how these flavours kind of interact and cross over each other. And, you know, once again, Dugas have got it pretty spot on in my opinion. I really like how this one goes together. A lovely sweet stout. Yeah, and the more you drink of this one, the sort of sweeter it becomes, and I think the more sort of biscuity, cookie-like it comes. I mean, I keep saying biscuits. The Americans would call what I would like McVitie's digestives. Americans would call them cookies, but to me the cookie is the specific little chocolate chip thing. So yeah, Americans watching this review might be a little bit kind of, oh, what's going on here? But this, it's a beautiful beer. Is it my favourite stout I've had from Dugas Bryggeri? I don't know. I mean, the coffee stouts, I mean, Key and Sidamo Dimtu, you know, those are honestly two of the best stouts I think that I've reviewed on the channel before. This one is good, but I'm not sure I would quite put it quite on that level, but it's a matter of personal opinion. I mean, it's a lovely beer, this, but I'm not sure it quite gets up to the level of the Key and the Sidamo Dimtu. But as I say, I've been developing a bit of a fetish for coffee stouts in recent times. So yeah, take it that what you will. But I mean, this, in terms of the general quality of Dugas beers, this is really damn solid. So, you know, have a go at it and see what you think. I do want to try a few others from the Grand Series as well. There is one that's it's fudge or something like that. So hopefully I can get a hold of that one at some point soon as well. I'd love to try that. I love my big fudge stouts as well. The one that springs to mind was one from Brouwerij Kies in the Netherlands, the caramel fudge stout or something it was called. Beautiful beer. But yeah, sorry, rambling on a little bit. In terms of the hoppy side of this beer then, there's not too much to report on this. In the back corners of the palate there's a teeny little bit of earthiness. That spreads forward along the sides of the tongue. You do get a little teeny hint of floral quality on the front corners of the palate, but again that's very minimal, and there is just a little bit of a lighter grassiness going round the front curve of the palate as well. On the fruity side of things, as I always say, you get that little oily bubble behind the front curve of your palate, and there is a little bit more complexity to the fruit in this one than the aroma would have you believe. It does have a little bit So yeah, when you take this beer in, it does have a little bit of there's a little hint of a kind of raisiny sharpness to this one, but then it very quickly becomes more sort of pruny and figgy, if you like. And then the further you go into the aftertaste, it kind of evolves to be more like blackberry-ish, blackcurranty. I mean, you've got a little bit of that in there. The sort of candied strawberry notes that I was picking out from the aroma, it is a lot more complex than that in the fruity side of things in my mind. But the fruity notes go very well with everything else that's going on here, I would say. So yeah, I like how this goes together. It definitely gets a little bit more berry-like in the aftertaste. And as I said, you've got the kind of cookie, the sort of almost caramelly, biscuity type flavours coming out of this one. The cookie dough type flavours pushing out the further you go into the aftertaste. So at the front, the thing that lingers into the aftertaste, a bit of that fruity note that I was talking about, and then the more caramelly, biscuity notes from the cookie flavours. I mean, this is a lovely beer, and I like the transitions that it makes. And you know, if you're into your sweet kind of pastry stouts, this one is certainly not going to let you down in any regard at all. So thumbs up to Douglas Bryggeri once again for this one. In terms of the mouthfeel, see, I would say it's probably full-bodied. Yeah, pretty full-bodied this one, but I would say it's at the bottom end of full-bodied. Carbonation is very smooth. It's got a big oily mouthfeel to it, but there's a wee bit of wetness at the front of the palate in my mind. In terms of bitterness in this one, you know, I don't think you're going to get much in the way of bitterness. This one must only be like 30 IBUs or something at most. It's more of a sweet stout, this, rather than anything else. I don't know if you'd even measure the IBUs on this, or if you even could, to be honest with you. But lovely smoothness and sweetness, and kind of the way the caramelised sugars come out in the middle of the palate with this one is absolutely lovely. This is all about the malt base and the way that the essences and stuff interact with this one. I mean, they might have added real cookie dough to it, but I think the flavours wouldn't be quite as prominent, to be honest with you. But yeah, the way that the malt base and the adjuncts interact in this one, that's the whole essence of the beer. And you've also got some nice juicy fruity qualities in there as well. It starts off a little bit sharp, but then it becomes gradually more oily the further you go into the aftertaste as well. So yeah, a beautiful beer, this one, but who would expect anything less of Douglas Bryggeri? So yeah, thumbs up to them for this. Hopefully I can try some more beers from this grand series as well. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. The Choco Chip, an Imperial Stout coming in at 10% ABV from the Grand Series at Douglas Bryggeri in Landvetter, just outside of Gothenburg. A beautiful beer I want to try. The closest one I can think of to this would probably be, if you like the Omnipollo sweet stouts, if you like the desserts in a can from Amundsen or Servicium, whoever it is that's making those, and also the Choco Fudge Stout from Bryggeri Kies over in the Netherlands. You know, this is one that you are really going to enjoy as well. So I look forward to more from this Grand Series, and I'll catch you very soon with more Douglas beer reviews. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Douglas Bryggeri as well, and you will definitely see more from these guys over the next little while. Until the next time, slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slàinte, skål, cheers. Make sure you check out Douglas Bryggeri.